Welcome everybody, my name is Alex from TrashcanTV and I am back, and I'm still on my mission to bring you the most elite Hearthstone decks on a beginner's budget for the Scholomance Academy. Today we're going to be looking at the class of Rogue. This is one of the absolute fan favorites and budget players' favorites classes, and this is the deck we devised here. So this is called a Stealth Rogue. It's a very aggressive deck. We try to, kind of a similar pattern with the other budget decks, be fast, be aggressive, and hit the opponent's face, kill them before they can really establish their own game. And speaking of the other budget decks, we've already covered a couple of other classes. We're going to cover as many as we can, but we always appreciate your feedback, and if you are interested, go check out the other ones. We're going to link them in the description, give you some info cards to those, so you can maybe have yourself a better look at the other classes and what's available out there in the world of budget decks. But this is what we're doing today. I would just quickly ask you to drop a like on the video for us. We'd highly appreciate it, and leave us a subscription and maybe a comment if you have any sort of ideas or questions. Always feel free to ask those. We also have a Discord server that you can join, link in the description. If you want to do that, that would be great, and we'd hopefully welcome you there very soon. But for this deck, we're really looking at a Stealth Rogue, and the stealth mechanic is the important one here. We're going to make use of that to kind of have those elusive minions that can't be removed easily. Typically statted aggressively. If you look at cards like the Spy Mistress or the Sneaky Delinquent, right there, aggressively statted, not a lot of health, but the stealth is going to help us. And we have cards that profit off of that, like the Ashtongue Slayer right there, or the Greyheart Sage. We're going to also be utilizing the weapons, and before we get into some games, the sample games, I'm going to show you what to do pre-match in the Mulligan phase, and see how to handle the deck, the card choices there. The one really somewhat atypical tech card in this deck, I guess, is the Plague of Madness. And this is one that we're going to utilize for a final push with the Poisonous effect to push through a big taunt minion if that ever comes to be against the control deck. Now, a deck overview, we're looking at 1740 dust in total is what this would cost you. The epics in there, 2 of them, of course, the Greyheart Sages are most of that. They're quite a big part of it, but they're also super key cards, so it's hard to play without it. Other than that, you have 16 common cards, 8 of them are free, and just 3 more rares. So quite an affordable deck still, with the 2 epics really being the main part of it. Let's look at the Mulligan phase here really quickly before we get into some games. The cards that you always want to keep, and this is the bread and butter of this deck, the small minions with stealth, your Spy Mistress, your Worgen, and your Sneaky Delinquents. Those are absolutely crucial to get down early, so we can profit off of them later on as we deal damage quickly to our opponent's face. Kind of the second tier, I'd say, you're really looking at the cards that profit off of the stealth, like your Greyheart Sage or your Ashtongue Slayer. Very important. To get those burst turns out early and get that refill and card draw in. In particular, you want to keep those 2 cards if you already have one of the early drop stealthers. So if you already have a Spy Mistress or a Worgen on your starting hand, it is much more excusable to keep an Ashtongue Slayer or a Greyheart Sage, or even desirable to have one as a follow-up. And the other 2 occasional keeps we found quite interesting are the Backstab and the Burrowing Scorpion. Those specifically are good in aggro matchups if you have a strong read your opponent is playing an aggressive game, and for the Scorpion specifically in the mirror. It's one of the strongest cards in the mirror match if you're facing the same deck from your opponent. That's one of the cards that can win you the game with a huge tempo swing. Really, a couple of cards that you always want to throw away is the Sinister Strike, the Sap, your Cold Blood, and your Wolf Rider. Those are going to be good drawing later on, but not good enough on your starting hand. Don't offer you what you want, so get those out of your hand in the Mulligan phase. In terms of turn order, this deck slightly prefers to go first, especially if we have a 1-drop like our Spy Mistress or a Worgen. We don't hate going second either, because we can utilize the coin as a combo piece and sometimes reach for a more tempo-ish play in the turn 2 to 4 range. So pretty balanced in terms of going first or second. If I had to choose, I'd go first. Now, if you're looking to upgrade this deck, say you have a little bit more dust saved up and you want to play a stronger, not as budgety version, this is really the first card you want to add into it, the Secret Passage. Incredibly strong card draw and incredibly versatile. We cut it out for budget reasons. If you have it, this is what you want to put in. AAECAaIHA is another optional card. I don't recommend you craft any legendaries to make this deck if you're reasonably short on dust, but if you have it, experiment with AAECAaIHA and put it in. On a similar note, Infiltrator Lillian, I don't even have it, I'm not going to craft it, but if you have it, try it out and put it in. It's definitely worth giving a slot to, but it's not worth spending 1600 dust on. Time to play a little sample game here. We're facing a Warlock, so just to show off how this deck kind of works, my thought process, I'm going to walk you through this. We like to have the Spy Mistress. I mentioned this on hand. I'm definitely going to be keeping it. I'm going to throw away the other 2 cards here, even though they combo quite nicely, but I want that payoff. I want the big payoff. I want Slayer and I want Sage. Don't quite get it there. Those cards could be a little bit clunky. But I'm definitely glad we have a good one-drop here. Gonna drop the Spy Mistress. The Saps are good cards in this deck. Not necessarily on turn 2 though. We like them later on. Similar idea with the Plague of Madness, really. I'll see what happens here. Okay, so he plays the quest. That's fine. I think that's typically pretty slow. Might be able to make use of that. There's our Ash Tongue Slayer, so that's a pretty good top deck. I'm gonna play this ultra aggressively because I know that this Warlock is kind of a slow poker. He wants to take it easy. He wants to draw cards, use the hero power a lot, and if he does that, he's damaging himself. So we want him to limit him in his game plan as soon as possible, dictate the pace, and that's where we go. That's where we go hard right away. Let's remove it. Okay, that's fair. See what we draw here. Delinquent's good. It's good pickup. Play that right away. It's basically the same as the Spy Mistress with the added Death Rattle. You get it back. Keep up the pressure is really the important part here. Pick up an Evis. I think it might be time to just hold that back for just a second. There's an idea of playing the Scorpion down here. And let's think about it. I think I'm just going to use my hero power. Just weapon up. Start hitting and do damage. Scorpion can obviously ping the face, but I really like it to come down with stealth as a tempo swing, so I'll wait for one more turn here and see what he's got. Easy removal, but we'll get it back obviously and we'll play it. Pick up the Wolf Rider here, which is a consideration that we could play right now, push some more damage. And I actually think that is going to be the play. I'm going to drop both of my minions here. Wolf Rider to the face, weapon to the face. We want to push super hard. Don't even allow him to get the plot twists out, really develop, and get the big healing in. So we're trying to be hyper aggressive in this matchup and finish it as soon as possible. There's another wing. Notably does damage to himself, so that is important for us to know. We're very close to winning here, and just thinking about the best way to do this. The Eviscerate is definitely possible to be used here. Or we could also use the Scorpion. I'm going to just play down this Scorpion, ping him in the face. And I'm actually kind of trap him a little bit, set a little bit of a trap up for him there by sapping that Netherwing. Now if he wants to use that Netherwing again, he's going to put himself in Eviscerate range to die. So let's see if he bites. This is a Soulfire there, okay. Bit of a sign of weakness discarding his Polkelt, not what he wanted to do at all. Sign of weakness, we're going to exploit that here. Plague of Madness notably is a weapon that is a 2/2, so that deals 2 damage. We're going to be comboing the Eviscerate out right along with that. That's going to be lethal for the first one. GG to this Warlock, but too damn slow. We'll play another one and hopefully we can get a different matchup. Second game, running into Paladin here. See what we get on the hand. Looks like we are going second this time, so a little bit of different situation. I like to keep the Worgen a lot. Paladin is likely to be Libram in the backstab. Is a potential keep against that, so I'm going to do that here, especially considering I have 4 cards. I get to mulligan 2 of them away anyway. I have a 1-drop. The reason it's the backstab is a keep against Libram is because of the minions that come down on 3, which is really your Lightforged Zealot and your Goody 2 Shields, both very strong strong cards that have 2 health, so backstab could be tempo play. Secret Keeper here is also a good tempo play with the backstab incoming. So I think this is going to be the play. We want the Worgen down. We want backstab that because we want the board presence. And as a consideration for that weapon, next turn with the coin and then Cutting Class is going to refill us the hand. Hero power used. And with the Wolf Rider draw, I think our play is pretty clear. We want that weapon now for attack, obviously. Make sure to always combo that out as much as possible. Gonna ignore his little man here. We're going face with the Worgen. Next turn, the Cutting Class for 1 mana is a very, very strong one. There's a Penflinger. Yeah, Libram confirmed. As expected. So we'll see what we find here. This is definitely Cutting Class turn. We have the follow-up with just 2 mana, and I love that draw of Scorpion too. That's going to be super, super helpful against this Silverhat next turn with a lot of tempo. And we of course push the weapon damage phase. Even pick up the next Scimitar. So we have a very good order at the moment. Gibberling flashbacks in case you haven't seen it. Might have budget Druid on that. It's very strong. But he probably doesn't have the synergy, would be my guess. There's two distinct plays that are very worth making here. Scorpid is one, and the other one is Spy Mistress plus the weapon. I'm gonna decide to play that Scorpid here, and there's two potential targets to play it. I'm gonna do what I think kind of makes sense. Gonna play it on the Gibberling here. The reason for that being, if we kill the 2/2, we know he gets the Libram back on his hand. He's gonna put it on something, summon another Gibberling. In terms of actual value, doesn't make that much of a difference. And we're hitting face, not keeping stealth around here because we still have enough mana worth of cards to spend over the next few turns. We knew we had the Penflinger, of course. And there's the Alluring. It's a dangerous target, and we'll have to kind of think about whether we might want to sap that even. I think it's time to do exactly what I mentioned. We're going to sap this Allura because we don't want any shenanigans just happening too quickly, and we're going to use the Scimitar again. Kind of let him know what time it is here with the aggressive face damage. Backstab on hand, and it could be used right now. He's not gonna produce a 2 health taunt that's going to help us through. Gonna hold on to it for now. Mortal Catches. Wants to Libram of Hope. That's fine for us. That's acceptable. Pick up the Cold Blood off the top, as it should be. And there's a very good combination for you with the Wolf Rider. The charge damage, and suddenly you have a Leroy Jenkins on steroids there on the board in 2020. No big deal. Budget Stealth Rogue. In somewhat high legend rank. Still able to beat some of the more annoying decks. So I consider that a win. So, let's get into the end screen, and I'll give you some thoughts on the statistics that we were able to gather and my evaluation of this deck. Quick overview for the deck you just saw. We played a total of 48 games as we went along testing it. Won 26 out of those games. That's a 54% win rate, which is not quite as high as some of the other decks that we have messed with in the previous videos. If you've seen the Hunter, Druid and the Demon Hunter both had win rates pushing 60%, but it's still a respectable win rate for a budget deck, and especially for the Rogue class without Secret Passage. And I'm convinced that if you put Secret Passage into the deck, you'll be able to push that win rate up by several percentage points, as we have been able to do, but for budget reasons we cut it out later on. Still performed in a comfortable win range. Now, the best matchup that we were able to encounter, as you kind of saw in the first game, was the Warlock. It tends to be too slow, so we beat 4 out of 4 Warlocks in our testing phase. Hunter, on the other hand, is the toughest one that we've encountered. We played 6 games, only won 2 of them, mainly because a lot of tough aggro mirrors, and Hunter generates resources really well. Now, this deck was used to climb to Legend this month, so it was largely tested between Diamond 5 and Diamond 1. That's where the majority of the games took place. Another 7 games were played in Legend, as well as the 2 games you just saw also being played in Legend. Our average game time in testing was 6 minutes and 27 seconds, which is reasonably fast for a Hearthstone deck. It's on the slower end for the ones that we've showcased so far, but it's still very much in the aggro range and still very much useful to climb the ladder. Going into our star ratings for the Hearthstone Budget Stealth Rogue, I've had a lot of fun trying this out, and my estimations for roughly like how this works out. I want to say laddering speed, just mentioned it's a bit slower than other ones. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I've seen the Druid or the Hunter being a little bit faster and a little bit higher win rates, so 4 out of 5 stars for laddering speed, but it's still going to get you there on a good budget. The learning curve with this deck, well, there really isn't one. It's 5 out of 5 stars. This is super simple to pick up. It gets a little more complicated once you pick up a Secret Passage added into the deck, but that really only is how to manage to play the Secret Passage, which is not a particularly hard thing to do, kind of intuitive. You use it as a refill. We didn't have it in there, so very easy deck to pick up, 5 stars for me. Consistency-wise, I'm going to go 4 out of 5 stars. This deck rarely draws dead and typically has the push, like you saw there in the final game. We definitely got good draws there. Every once in a while you won't, and adding in the Secret Passage will improve the consistency dramatically, but still 4 out of 5 stars. Typically you're not going to run out of stuff too early. For fun, I'm going to go with 4 out of 5 stars as well. It's fun playing the game. Fun playing the deck. I'm more of a control player. My favorite deck is Bomb Warrior, but I'm still having fun testing out those more aggressive budget decks. It's a very different playstyle and especially suitable for beginners, as you get to gather a lot of experience quickly and still have fun killing your opponent, actively playing Hearthstone and pursuing the face. With that being said, if you have any questions regarding this deck or other budget decks that we made, which you can by the way check out on our channel, let us know in the comments, give us some feedback if you've tried this out, maybe some improvement ideas that you have to this that you want to tell us about. We'd be happy to know that. You can leave us a comment or join our Discord server, maybe both. Link in the description. It's a pretty cool community, so if you want to join that would be awesome. Drop us a like on the video, and as always, I've been Alex from TrashcanTV on a mission to bring you the most elite Hearthstone decks on a beginner's budget for the Scholomance Academy, and I'm going to see you in the next one.